Hey everybody, it's me, Jack, and I hope you all had a good Christmas, and I'm back with my final Christmas movie review. Yeah, usually I do 3 Christmas movies, but because of my review of Star Wars, I had to do only 2. Today I will be reviewing the highest grossing Christmas movie of all time, Home Alone. Home Alone is about a family known as the McAllisters, who are very rich. Kevin, played by Macaulay Culkin, one of the youngest members of the family, is left behind one Christmas when the family goes off on a vacation. Thinking that he's made his family disappear, Kevin takes advantage of their absence to do whatever he wants. However, 2 burglars, known as the Wet Bandits, plan to rob his house, and so it's up to Kevin to defeat them. Home Alone was a movie that, upon initial release, was very poorly received by critics, many of whom slammed it for its use of slapstick. Slapstick was a type of comedy that was mainly used in cartoons. It's been believed by some that slapstick in live action doesn't really work. Now, I will talk a bit about the slapstick later, but first I should talk about the characters. Kevin, the main character, is very realistic. He is very much like a kid. He gets angry, he can have his immature moments, but overall he does still have a good heart. The relationship between him and his family is a very realistic one. We all have those moments where we have a falling out with our family members and we just feel like we never want to see them again. But then once they do leave us, we start to become lonely and realize just how much we do love our family. How's Macaulay Culkin? Well, his acting is for the most part pretty good. Again, he does a good job of capturing the childlike role, although admittedly there are some times where he does sound a bit disinterested. Like the scene between him and Old Man Marley in the church. The actor playing Old Man Marley does an amazing job in this scene, but Culkin just sounds like he's not really into it. He isn't as good with the emotional scenes. However, in the comedy scenes, he does an amazing job. There's also the Wet Bandits, Harry and Marv. These two are a great villain duo, both of them having their own different personalities, as Harry is a scheming mastermind, while Marv is a more foolish, bumbling idiot, coming up with the bright idea to flood every single house that they rob, which ends up giving them away. The two of them have some of the best reactions to being in pain ever, and they do make the slapstick a lot more funny, and less sick. Had they gotten different actors that couldn't do it in such a funny way, this would have come off as incredibly twisted. Not that it already isn't kinda twisted, but their performances certainly helped it feel less so. The rest of the cast of the movie are good as well. All the actors that play the different family members do a good job, like Catherine O'Hara as the mom. Also one of the best asshole older brother characters of all time in Buzz. There's also Old Man Marley, who's a seemingly threatening character at first, due to there being rumors being spread about him murdering his family. He has quite a threatening presence, which is a combination of the actor's performance and the music by John Williams. But as the film goes on, you realize he's not a bad guy, and he too has family problems of his own, as he had a fight once with his son and hasn't spoken to him for a long time. As I said, Macaulay Culkin's performance in that scene isn't all that good, but the scene itself is still great, as Old Man Marley brings up the fact that everybody is scared, including him. And in a way, Kevin plays somewhat of a father figure to him as he convinces him to call his son. Now I should talk about the slapstick in this movie. Yes, it is kind of funny, again, mainly due to the performances by the actors, but I still nonetheless feel that it is a little bit too twisted. And you might be saying, what? But you gave a positive review to Saw, and that film was nothing but torture. Okay, first of all, no, it was not. And second of all, the one doing the torturing was the villain. In this film, however, the one bringing pain to others is our supposed good guy, a child nonetheless. Now, before I talk a bit more about the slapstick here, let me just say that I love Tom and Jerry, for example. It's a really great cartoon with hilarious slapstick. So why do I think it isn't so twisted there, but it is here? Well, here's the thing. In the case of Tom and Jerry, the slapstick would usually happen due to Tom's own stupidity, not because of Jerry. And even when Jerry did it, he had no choice. He had to protect himself or Tom would kill him. Here, Kevin could have easily just called the cops, which he eventually does after putting these guys through hell. It just makes me like his character a lot less. I understand he wants to face his fears and all, but if he really did want to face his fears, he would have fought them head on, not just set up a bunch of traps and watch them suffer like a coward. I'm not saying it's a good idea for a child to try to fight a bunch of burglars. Again, I think calling the police is the best idea, but if you're just gonna torture them like that, I'm sorry, you've got some serious problems. But there are still plenty of other things to like about the film, particularly John Williams' amazing score. John Williams captures the spirit of Christmas beautifully in this film, combining old classic Christmas music with beautiful, moving new themes. I especially love the piece of music that plays after Kevin talks to Old Man Marley in the church and then runs back home to set up the traps. It's a very triumphant and uplifting piece of music. And once again, the message of the film about family is really quite a touching one, and it's one of the reasons why I think the film is watched so much around the holidays. So yes, overall, I really like Home Alone despite its problems, and I'm gonna give Home Alone a 7 out of 10. Now, I would also like to talk a little bit about my thoughts on the sequel, Home Alone 2: Lost in New York. This is the textbook definition of lazy. It's been said that many sequels are carbon copies of the originals. And while that might be the case with some sequels, I find most of them do still try to do something different. Something like Star Wars: The Force Awakens is definitely very familiar, but it introduced new characters and brought them to the forefront, and it did introduce some interesting new ideas. Home Alone 2 is literally the first film set in New York with a pigeon lady replacing Old Man Marley. Yeah, a pigeon lady. She's never given a name. It's practically just the first film, except less good and less fresh. You can literally break down practically every single scene in the film and it resembles a scene from the original. It's just slightly altered. The family is packing to go on a vacation. Buzz is an asshole to Kevin. Kevin overreacts. The family is angry at Kevin for some reason. They go to the airport. Kevin is separated from them. It takes him a little while to realize this, but then he becomes happy and starts enjoying his freedom. He watches gangster movies on TV, while his family watches It's a Wonderful Life. Meanwhile, Harry and Marv are planning their next robbery. Kevin uses the gangster movie to scare somebody off. He runs into a seemingly scary person who turns out to be alright, and he befriends them and has a heart-to-heart talk with them. He then decides to stop Harry and Marv. He sets up a bunch of traps and puts them through hell once again. Then, just when it seems like they have him, the seemingly threatening person from earlier comes to save him. He is then reunited with his family, and the film ends with Buzz yelling at him and him running off. Yes, it's very clear that Home Alone 2 was really just made to cash in on the success of the original. I mean, I guess there are some differences. I mean, Tim Curry's there, and he is pretty funny. There's a cameo by Donald Trump, but that's not a good thing. The traps are far more painful, but again, that just makes me hate Kevin even more. Once again, he could have called the police, but instead he wanted to see these two guys suffer for his own sick pleasure. Okay, I totally believe the theory that Kevin grows up to become the Jigsaw Killer. The film is literally just a carbon copy, and barely anything that it does differently is any good. I guess I do like the fact how that Kevin is trying to stop Harry and Marv from stealing from a children's store. I guess that makes him a bit more heroic. Also, the Angels with Filthy Souls gag, I will admit, is even funnier in this one than the first film. But that's pretty much the only thing that the film does better than the original. Home Alone 2 is truly a waste of time. And in some ways, I think it's honestly one of the worst sequels ever made. There is literally no reason to watch Home Alone 2. I'm gonna give Home Alone 2 4 out of 10. So that's my review of the Home Alone movies, and be sure to let me know what you think of the films in the comment section down below, and happy holidays, and I hope you guys all had a good Christmas, or Hanukkah, or whatever. And I will see you in the new year of 2018. Happy New Year, everybody.